Welcome to this video, guys. My name is Cameron and this is the Avengers Infinity War spoilers review. Fuck. I've already done a non-spoilers review. You can click up here, check that out. But obviously if you're on this video, I'm assuming you've already seen the movie. So let's just get straight into it with the mind-blowing thing that Thanos wins. Oh, I just pulled my neck. I was actually really proud of Marvel/Disney for doing that, for going all of the way and actually doing what many of us comic book fans expected them to do, which was to have Thanos win and kill everybody. And the reason why that's so important is because, you know, like at the end where Thor like sort of threw his axe into Thanos and then it like sort of killed him, but obviously he didn't hit him in the head, so like whatever. Well, imagine if that was it. Imagine if Thor just killed Thanos at the end like that and that was it. Like, it would be so anticlimactic. So the fact that the movie ended with Thanos winning just made everything like matter more. Like all the characters' deaths actually meant something. Like Thanos as a villain actually was like, you was actually scared of him. You couldn't believe that he won. And I think that's what made it so important, that even though the film was good, like all the build up, all the action, all of the consequences, all of it wouldn't have really mattered if Thor had killed Thanos at the end like that and that was it. So I absolutely loved it how the film took it all the way and ended it with him winning. This is the first time where a villain has actually won, and for it to be like half of the universe being obliterated, my god, I mean, people are still starstruck to this day. It's been like a week. Also, just to clarify, this video might be a little bit all over the place because obviously it's spoilers and there's so much to remember and I'm just kind of like going crazy, but I think one of the deaths that sort of hit audiences the most as well was Spider-Man's death. And one of the most important things was that, you know that part where Spider-Man died and he's like, I don't want to go, and Tony he's grabbing onto Iron Man? That's actually improvised. That was not scripted. That was Tom Holland literally going off the top of his head acting out that scene. That's crazy, especially because that's one of the most like heartfelt scenes where the audience literally like nearly cries at that, or does cry. My god. And also the same thing with Black Panther as well. I don't think anybody expected Black Panther to just turn to dust and disappear, but it happened. Have I got my... Every single time I forget if I've got my microphone on. Like, I'm gonna have to start making sure before I start recording, but... And when you actually take a step back, one of the craziest things is that all of the Avengers on Earth, like Black Panther, Captain America, etc., none of them had actually ever met Thanos before. Like, no one had ever even known what he looks like. I mean, when Thanos arrived on Earth for the first time, it was Bruce Banner who was actually like, guys, that's him. That's like one of the worst things, just the fact that they don't even know what he looked like. That just shows how much of a threat Thanos is. It's almost like an unprovoked attack. It's almost like the Avengers and all the humans and everything are just kind of like minding their own business, and then this person just turns up, but you've heard stories about him. It's so crazy. Like, you don't think of that when you're watching the film until it gets to that moment, and that's when you realise, wait a minute, Captain America has never even seen this villain before. Like, he's never even met him. None of the other characters have met him. Like, it's just crazy. It's only Thor, Guardians of the Galaxy, Iron Man, and Hulk who have pretty much seen him. But also, going back to things that sort of hit you a little bit harder, one of those moments was only a subtle moment from Captain America where everybody had already disappeared. Captain America was sort of like sat on the floor next to Vision's body, if I remember, and it just zooms in on Captain America and he just says, oh god, the worst possible thing in the universe has happened. And that is like, as a human being, like, imagine being Captain America. All of the things that you have faced, nothing is on the same level as like what's just happened. And Captain America, I imagine they all just feel pretty helpless, like they can't really do anything about it. Now, talking about that situation where Thanos arrives on Earth and obviously all the Avengers are there, Captain America, etc., I think Captain America put up one of the best fights against Thanos. To say that, like, he grabbed his glove and he was like uppercutting him and stuff, and that was just so awesome. But that situation where Scarlet Witch had to destroy Vision pretty much, like obliterate the Mind Stone out of his head, and you thought that it was over. Like, obviously as a viewer of the movie and like as a comic book fan, if you was paying attention, you knew that he had the Time Stone in his hand, so you sort of predicted what was about to happen next. Oh my god, it was just so bad. Thanos literally brought Vision back to life to rip the stone out of his head. Oh my god. Oh god, I'm getting goosebumps. That is the most brutal thing I've ever seen, and one of the worst parts was that Scarlet Witch could actually witness that happen, because when Thanos was using the Time Stone, he was using it on like that one spot. It's like Doctor Strange with the apple. Like, none of the things around him like rewinding time, it was strictly just like that apple that he was doing it on, and that's what Thanos was doing with Vision. It was literally just on that spot where Vision was. So everybody, regardless of the people who were knocked out, Scarlet Witch could witness Vision being brought back to life, and then him just grabbing. Oh, that is so like dark and brutal. Just to because there is a sigh of relief when Vision is obliterated by Scarlet Witch, and obviously Thanos can't get the stone anymore. There's a sigh of relief, like, oh, thank God, what's he going to do now? Even though he's got all the other Infinity Stones, there's still a sigh of relief. But then once he starts turning back time, you as the audience sort of like go, oh my God. Like, you're sort of thrown straight back onto the edge of your seat again. It is just so intense. I can't, like, I don't think I'm ever going to recover. I'm never going to get over this movie. It's going to live with me till the day I die. But anyway, guys, if you did see my non-spoilers review for Infinity War, I did say at the end of the video that I had, like, an idea with Doctor Strange and, like, something that not many people picked up on. Well, cat's out of the bag a little bit, because obviously now that there's been a bit of speculation, quite a lot of people know about this. They didn't at the time, I had to explain it to everybody, but remember when Doctor Strange told Iron Man and Spider-Man that if it came to saving their lives or protecting the Time Stone, he would choose the Time Stone over them? Well, when it actually came down to it, Doctor Strange traded the Time Stone for Tony Stark's life, and there is a very, very, like, important reason for that. Obviously, it's out there on speculation on the internet now. I think pretty much everybody's clicking onto it. But when Doctor Strange looked into 14,605 futures, if I remember, he said that only one of them was where we won. And that's very important. The future that he must have saw where we win must involve Tony Stark staying alive and being alive for that to occur. And that's one of the reasons why I don't think Doctor Strange stopped Star-Lord from punching Thanos in the head when they were about to rip the glove off him. Do you remember that? I think Doctor Strange allowed Star-Lord to do that without stopping him, because Doctor Strange knew that that happened in the future where they win, so he's got to let it happen to lead to the events where they do win. You get what I mean? It's all super crazy time travel stuff, but basically, I think we're on the right track to win. Like in Avengers 4, everybody's died, Doctor Strange has disappeared, and if you remember, before Doctor Strange got turned to dust, he did say, Tony, it was the only way. And not in just like a general way, he literally means this is the only way to win. Like, he's seen it. Also, out of 14 million futures, they win once. Thanos is pretty, like, badass, so I'm not surprised. But yeah, that scene where all the characters teamed up to take down Thanos and tear the glove off his hand, they were so close, but I think it was so well done the way that each character sort of gave something to it. I mean, especially Drax. Drax just sort of like booted Thanos in his leg, kind of cut his leg up a bit to make him fall over, and then the other characters sort of jumped in there as well. It was just really well timed, and the way that they sort of work together, it just shows that these characters that work together, like the Avengers, etc., do actually work better together. Like, they do actually do something, and I think that's really great the way that the movie's shown that. And when they finally got Thanos still, you felt safe as an audience member watching the movie. You felt like you could sort of relax for a minute with the heroes and just be like, right. And I don't know if you remember, like, when Star-Lord was sort of getting a little bit, like, angry, you could see Tony Stark in the background really worried, like he's shouting at Star-Lord like, we've almost got it off. I remember Tony Stark's, like, emotion in that scene so well, because it was proper, like, as if Tony Stark was trying to get it through to Star-Lord that they've nearly got it off, like they've nearly won, so just control yourself for a second. Oh my God. But also, if you did see my non-spoilers review, I did mention that some characters were written a little bit differently, obviously because their original movies like Guardians of the Galaxy was directed by James Gunn, etc., and this was directed by the Russo brothers, so certain characters acted a little bit differently than what we've come to know them as. Star-Lord in that moment punching Thanos in the face was one of those moments where I was like, why would Star-Lord do that? But then again, Star-Lord, like, he's never been in a situation where he's told Gamora that he loves her, and Gamora's also told him that she loves him. So that's obviously brought out some emotions that we haven't seen before, because the opportunity for those emotions to come out hasn't been brought to the surface either. So maybe Star-Lord was always like that. Yeah, it kind of concerned me a little bit, because all Star-Lord had to do was wait like a few minutes longer, and he could have punched Thanos in the face with the Infinity Gauntlet on. Like, oh my God. But anyway, going into some of the little things throughout the movie that, as a fan, I was just like, Jesus Christ, this is amazing. So, number one, Doctor Strange, he is so much more powerful in this movie. Like, especially when the Black Order, or like the children of Thanos, first arrive on Earth with their ship, and there's wind shooting through the city, and there's like rubbish everywhere. Doctor Strange walks out and he does like this spinny thing, and then he just blasts air into the air and shoots all the wind into the sky. And like, That was like one of the greatest scenes in the movie. And he did nothing, he literally just did like a little bit of a spell. But Tony Stark turned around to him, and Doctor Strange comes across as this character that knows that he is powerful beyond any of the other characters in sort of like a different way, like in a magic terms of way. And I don't know about you guys, but I definitely think that Doctor Strange is one of the best characters in the movie, just in general. He's just so interesting. But also a few minutes later, that brings me to Tony Stark suiting up as Iron Man for the first time. He's got the nanotech armor, it's the bleeding edge armor. It is just unbelievable. I don't know if you guys, like when you were sat in the cinema or the theatre or whatever, when that scene came on, everybody started cheering. It is just so badass. Like where he just presses it and it bleeds out and he takes... I'm getting chills, man. I was watching the trailer for Iron Man 2 the other day. He puts like that briefcase on and it's like a briefcase that turns into his Iron Man armor. We've got Infinity War here and he's got the bleeding edge armor where he presses it and it literally just bleeds onto his body. It is insane. And not to mention Spider-Man getting the Iron Spider costume. That was also bleeding edge armor or like nanotech armor where it like just bled onto him sort of thing. It was so cool. Like every single time there's always a new Iron Man armor or like there's an advancement in his technology. And that was just like one of the most badass moments I've seen in any of the Marvel movies to do with Iron Man, honestly. It was so good. But by far one of the most shocking moments in the movie that as an audience member you never thought would happen. And if it did, you was going to be like super shocked. And that was when Thanos just straight up stabbed Iron Man through the stomach or the chest or whatever. It was one of the moments as an audience member where you was kind of like taken back and everyone gasped and you was... Oh my god. He didn't just sort of like let him drop on the floor either. Thanos actually walked Iron Man back and sat him down with the blade still in him. Just so good. Things happened in this movie that you didn't think Marvel would do. They've built up all these characters to kill them, to literally just obliterate him into the ground. And they're sending you out of the theatre without a care in the world. Like literally saying, yeah, these characters are dead now. We killed all the characters you love. Now you can go home and wait a year. And that, I love that. That literally, it stays with you. Like when you get like storytelling like that where they literally don't care whether they want to keep someone alive or not. Like they just do it because it's part of the villain of Thanos. That's so good. And I think it's going to open up a few more things in terms of like cinema and creating movies in the future where you can actually kill the main villain as part of the story and it be okay because it creates a better movie. Whereas imagine if no one died, imagine if like one character died and Thanos was actually killed at the end by Thor. It'd be just so anticlimactic. Also, when Thanos stabbed Iron Man, it was almost like that blade represented the fall of the rest of them. So once Iron Man was stabbed, that was it. You knew that Thanos was going to win because Iron Man's one of like the super main characters. He's got like his legacy and he's the one that's worried about all the heroes dying the most because he's already envisioned it. Once he was stabbed, you knew as an audience member that like the balancing tables was kind of like tipped into Thanos' favour. So this movie has left marks. Onto a little bit of the brighter side, I liked it how the movie had like arcs with different characters. Like you had the Thor arc, you had the Guardians of the Galaxy arc, you had Captain America and Scarlet Witch and Vision and all that, and like Black Panther and Wakanda and everything. And one of those arcs that was a little bit more uplifting was of course Guardians of the Galaxy. And one of my favourite moments with them that I thought played out really well was when the Guardians of the Galaxy first encountered Iron Man, Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. And it actually ended with Star-Lord saying, "What am I supposed to say? Jesus." And that's when they all realised that these guys are from Earth. It just played out so well. It's how you expected a Guardians of the Galaxy and an Iron Man / Spider-Man sort of interaction to go. And I think the humour delivered and carried throughout the entire film from Guardians of the Galaxy, including Drax and Star-Lord, was just on point perfection. And when Thor came into it as well, when Thor had met Guardians of the Galaxy and he kept calling Rocket a rabbit, but something that came with the Guardians of the Galaxy arc was Gamora's death. And one of my favourite things was how the movie played into Thanos' story and like his backstory and also Gamora's backstory. Like you've never really dived too deep into it before, but Gamora literally hated her life with Thanos, and it sort of fleshed out her story and Thanos' story. You know, like Thanos and Gamora's relationship so much, and you genuinely sort of felt like Gamora hated him. She put that across so well. But of course, eventually Gamora had to lead Thanos to the Soul Stone, and this was like the point where you knew that Thanos wasn't just like a regular villain. He was like someone who genuinely had feelings and like his character. I'll talk about Thanos like a little bit more at the end because I don't want to like get confused and everything, but Thanos tearing up at the thought that he's going to have to throw Gamora off this thing to get the Soul Stone. And the best part was that he didn't want to stop. Like he knew that it was a sacrifice that he had to make in order to complete his task. But hold on a minute. The Red Skull returned, and I actually nearly killed one of my friends in the cinema because when this actually happened, my friend turned to me and said, "Oh my god, Red Face is back." What did you just say to me? Red Face. So yeah, obviously confirmed it as Red Skull, but yeah, how interesting is that? Like, out of the blue, we've not seen the Red Skull for like 17 movies or something, is it? And he just appears in Infinity War out of the blue without any question. Obviously, to point out, it's not the original Red Skull actor, like it is a different actor that was playing him or voicing him or whatever. But something I know a few people had a question about was, where did his powers come from? Like, he's flying, he's floating or whatever. And I actually think, obviously, it's from the Tesseract, probably when he got teleported at the end of Captain America. The atmosphere of the planet of where the Soul Stone was has probably altered, like, his DNA sort of thing. So he's got these powers. He's been there for like 70 odd years, like 100 years maybe. Or when he got teleported, he also got teleported through time as well. So technically, Red Skull could have been there for way longer than like what we think he has. But yeah, anyway, I'm getting lost and this video is getting a little bit too long. So let's just continue with Thor's arc. Obviously, was one of the most interesting. He interacted with Guardians of the Galaxy. I like how Thor sort of brought Rocket and Groot with him. It sort of kept the characters separate, but it was still technically the Guardians of the Galaxy with Thor, which was really good. And the entire thing was Thor going to craft his new weapon known as Stormbreaker, which is obviously from the comics. It's awesome, it's badass, and it worked out so well. It was really good how he sort of had to physically do something in order to get his weapon. He had to work for it. And that was one of the best things. One of the moments in the entire movie where I was like, I burned up, like I was in my seat and I was just like, ugh, was when Thor arrived in Wakanda with his new weapon and with Rocket, and the axe was spinning around all of Wakanda, sort of knocking down all the enemies, and then he catches it. That was one of the most badass moments in the entire movie, besides the moment where Iron Man suited up for the first time. It was unbelievable, and you genuinely felt like, right, Thor is here. He's a god. He's like the most powerful character. Like, he's so much more powerful than what he used to be. And I think one of the main things about that was the Avengers hadn't really seen Thor for quite a number of years at this point, because obviously this movie takes place around 2+ years after Civil War, and Thor wasn't even in that. The characters on Earth haven't seen Thor for ages, and he just arrives with a new weapon and like 10 times more powerful than he usually is. It was just so awesome. Oh my god, I'm going to have to rewatch it. I've seen it twice already, I'm going to have to go again. But yeah, of course, we've done a big circle back around now. So when obviously Thanos takes down Vision and he takes the stone, etc., Thor throws his Stormbreaker axe into Thanos, straight into his chest, into his heart. He lands and he pushes it into him and says, "I told you, you would die for that." And obviously that was because of the death of Heimdall and Loki, and it was just so good. But that was the moment where if it ended there, if they actually killed Thanos, I would have been so annoyed. Like, I would have felt cheated. Like, we've just been through all this, all these consequences on the line, and then Thor just kills him at the end. Like, I thought that would have been like really anticlimactic. So I'm glad Thanos was still alive enough to click his fingers. He actually did the click. And obviously it took Thanos into this other realm or something, and I actually thought that it was inside the Soul Stone, but I'm not too sure. It kind of looked like it, because it looked like the similar place from where Thanos got the Soul Stone from. So, and a little Gamora was there. Now, honestly, I thought that little Gamora girl was Death in person, because in case you guys don't know from the comics, Thanos doesn't kill half the universe in the comics to level out the universe. He kills half the universe because Death is an actual character, so Thanos wants to kill half the universe for Death. And so when this little Gamora appeared, I actually thought that she was the embodiment of Death approaching Thanos, because obviously Death, it's like, it can just appear as anybody. And so yeah, I thought that was our introduction to Death, but apparently not. I don't know, they didn't really reveal it too much from there. But what I'm also thinking is that maybe Gamora is inside the Soul Stone, because obviously she was thrown off that cliff and landed like where the Soul Stone technically would have been. So maybe her spirit or something went into the Soul Stone, like her soul or whatever, and she's like in there. I don't know. But yeah, that is pretty much it for this video, guys. I've just blasted off like so much stuff. Obviously you can tell I'm really excited. I liked the movie so much, and when you talk about each moment like this, it feels so good to be able to talk about it. It just makes the movie that much better. When you reminisce and you look back and you talk about it and you realise how good the movie was, how badass it was. I don't, like, you're only ever going to experience the movie for the very first time. Obviously, the first time you see it. So the second time you see it and everything, it's still awesome, it's still amazing, but you don't get the same sort of like, Jesus. So I feel so lucky to be able to have gone to the cinema without any spoilers and just kind of sit there at midnight and watch it and experience it for the first time. If I could go back and experience it for the first time again, I would. Where's the time stone? I need the time stone. But yeah, before we like finish everything up, one thing that I was really happy with was how the movie started. It started with Thor and like everyone already being like beaten up. Thanos beating the living crap out of the Hulk, and not to mention killing Heimdall and strangling Loki to death. I really liked that because it sort of set the tone for the rest of the movie. Like, they've just killed two characters and beat up the Hulk within like the first 5 minutes of the movie. So you knew the rest of the movie was going to be pretty much that. Like, those first few minutes in the movie was setting you up for the rest of it. And you knew from that point that it was not going to be like a merciful kind of, like, you know what I mean? But did you also notice that all of the original Avengers are still alive? Like, you've got Iron Man, you've got Thor, you've got Hulk, you've got Captain America, you've got Black Widow. Who else is there? Is there anybody else? Well, you've got Rhodey, but technically he's not part of the original Avengers, technically. So that's pretty interesting. It might just be a coincidence, or it might be like sort of like a nod to say the original Avengers are going to be the ones to finish everything sort of thing. But as for my future ideas, obviously I think Doctor Strange with that whole seeing 14 million futures and him saving Tony Stark on purpose, etc. I think that plays into it as like a major part. But I do think that Iron Man is going to create the robot called Arsenal. Is that a robot? I'm going to have to check, but yeah, he's going to create Arsenal, and basically, if you guys don't know who that is or what that is, it's pretty much like, I think it's a robot or a device, like an actual thing, that can absorb the energy of the Infinity Stones. So if Thanos blasts an Infinity Stone at this thing, it just absorbs it and like, well, yeah. So I'm thinking that might be why Doctor Strange had to keep Tony Stark alive, because Tony Stark's going to invent this thing that can go up against Thanos and win. So yeah. I don't know. Obviously, I've just been spouting. This is a really long video. It's a spoilers review. You can tell by my reaction, guys. I'm absolutely blown away by it, especially when you talk about, as I already said, singularly, like thinking back to just specific moments. There's nothing like it. Even if you guys know what happens, please just go to the cinema and witness it for yourself. Like, actually watch it on screen, because you can't describe it properly. You have to see it. My God. And if there's any movie to see in the cinema, it might as well be Infinity War. So yeah. Guys, let me know in the comments below what you thought of the movie as well. You can say spoilers in the comments now. Obviously, it's a spoilers video. And also, let me know what you think will happen in Avengers 4. Obviously, we got the after credit scene with Captain Marvel. If any of you guys don't know who Captain Marvel is, she's basically a god. She's one of the most powerful heroes in the Marvel universe. And Kevin Feige, who obviously makes all these Marvel movies and everything, has said that she's going to be the most powerful hero to have been introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, meaning that she's going to be stronger than Thor. So, yeah, that says something. Her solo movie comes out in 2019, so obviously look out for that. Cannot wait. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed me freaking out. I'm sorry this video was kind of all over the place, but there was quite a lot to talk about, so in my head, I'm just kind of like going everywhere. But yeah, if you like me, if you like this YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. And of course, if you like this video, hit the like button. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I've got stuff on there all the time. And I will see you all in my next video. Goodbye.